In the dead silence of Buckingham Palace, an emergency alarm shattered centuries of royal composure. Staff froze mid-step, silver trays trembling in their hands. Guards stiffened as the piercing signal echoed through the grand corridors, its sound unlike anything heard within those historic walls in decades. Within minutes, King Charles III issued a command no monarch had dared utter in modern memory, an immediate secret gathering of the highest-ranking royals. The reason was unthinkable. A discovery so shocking, so destabilizing, that it threatened not only the monarchy's future, but its very legitimacy. It began late in the evening, when the palace had settled into its usual hush. Behind closed doors and under dimmed chandeliers, a discovery was made that would ripple through the very foundations of the crown. The details were whispered in fragments, carried urgently between senior aides and security officers. Something had been uncovered, something hidden for generations, sealed away in the shadows of royal history. The air grew heavy with tension as the realization spread. This was no ordinary breach of protocol. This was a crisis. Princess Anne, known for her unwavering discipline and loyalty, was the first to witness the secret. Her discovery came unexpectedly, buried deep within the palace's most restricted domain, where even senior courtiers rarely ventured. Those who saw her that night spoke of a rare shift in her composure, a flicker of disbelief, followed by steely resolve. She wasted no time. Within minutes, the king was informed personally, her voice steady but urgent as she relayed what she had found. The response was immediate and uncompromising. Lockdown protocols were enacted without hesitation. Doors were sealed, access was restricted, and the royal archives repositories of centuries-old secrets were secured under strict supervision. Communication channels were carefully controlled as the palace moved swiftly to contain the situation. Every action was deliberate, every order precise, yet beneath the surface unease spread like wildfire. King Charles, confronted with the revelation, understood the gravity of what lay before him. This was not merely a family matter, it was a constitutional crisis in the making. With quiet authority, he summoned senior members of the royal family to an emergency meeting, bypassing traditional procedures in favor of urgency. The message was clear: attendance was not optional. The monarchy itself stood at a crossroads. As word of the crisis traveled discreetly through the palace, whispers began to stir in its hidden corridors. Long-serving staff exchanged anxious glances, their silence heavy with speculation. Some spoke of a scandal buried generations ago, a truth deliberately concealed to preserve the crown's image. Others feared that history once again was demanding to be heard. No one knew the full story, but everyone sensed its magnitude. Amid the mounting tension, King Charles carried the weight of the moment alone. The burden of leadership pressed heavily upon him, intensified by the knowledge that his decision could define his reign. His thoughts turned to the legacy he had inherited, to the fragile balance between duty and truth. For the first time, the future of the monarchy seemed uncertain, hanging in the balance of a secret revealed too soon or perhaps too late. And as the palace braced itself for the gathering storm, one question lingered in the air, impossible to ignore. What exactly had Princess Anne uncovered that forced the king's hand and plunged the palace into panic? Princess Anne was never meant to find it. Hidden deep within the palace's most restricted chambers, locked away behind layers of protocol and silence, lay a secret so explosive it had been erased from official history. Yet on that fateful evening, driven by duty and an instinct she could not ignore, Anne crossed a threshold few had ever approached. What she uncovered in that forbidden space would send shockwaves through the royal family, a revelation not merely scandalous, but powerful enough to rewrite the monarchy's legacy forever. The circumstances that led her there were as unexpected as the discovery itself. A routine review of archival records had drawn Anne's attention to discrepancies, subtle omissions, that did not align with her precise understanding of royal history. Known for her unwavering diligence, she refused to dismiss the inconsistencies as clerical error. Instead, she followed the trail quietly, determined to uncover the truth hidden behind decades of silence. Each step deeper into the palace's restricted domain felt heavy with unspoken warnings, yet her resolve remained unshaken. The chamber she entered was more than a room, it was a symbol of the monarchy's most closely guarded secrets. Rarely accessed and deliberately forgotten, It represented a vault of history the crown had chosen to bury. Within its confines lay sealed cabinets, coded ledgers, and relics untouched for generations. Time itself seemed suspended in that space, as though the past had been preserved in silence, waiting for the moment it would inevitably be rediscovered. It was there that Anne made her discovery, a collection of confidential documents, personal letters, and carefully concealed artifacts. Each piece told a fragment of a story long suppressed, hinting at decisions made behind closed doors and alliances forged in secrecy. As she examined the materials, the magnitude of their significance became undeniable. This was no isolated anomaly. It was evidence of a carefully orchestrated concealment, one that reached into the very heart of royal history. For a moment, disbelief threatened to overwhelm her. The implications were staggering, the truth almost too extraordinary to accept. Yet Anne's composure, forged through decades of duty, held firm. Beneath the surface, however, emotions churned shock, concern, and a profound sense of responsibility. She understood that what she had uncovered could not remain hidden, not without consequences that might one day prove catastrophic. Without hesitation, she made the decision that would set events into motion. King Charles had to be informed personally, and immediately. Her message was delivered with clarity and urgency, each word measured yet weighted with gravity. The king's response was swift, his silence speaking volumes as he absorbed the implications of her discovery. It was evident that the secret Anne had uncovered was tied to a long-buried controversy, one capable of unsettling the monarchy's carefully preserved narrative. As word of the revelation began to ripple discreetly through the palace, aides moved quickly to contain the situation. Documents were secured, communications monitored, and access to sensitive areas restricted. An invisible tension settled over the royal household, each whispered conversation underscored by the fear that the truth might escape beyond the palace walls. Yet even in secrecy, the weight of the discovery could not be denied. As the gravity of Anne's discovery settled in, King Charles realized that silence was no longer an option, and the royal family would soon be forced to confront a truth they had long feared. Under the cover of darkness, the palace transformed into a silent fortress, sealed from the outside world by layers of discretion and authority. Vehicles arrived without ceremony, their presence unannounced, carrying the most senior members of the royal family through gates that had rarely witnessed such urgency. There were no photographers waiting, no official statements issued, and no hint to the public that history was shifting within those guarded walls. Inside, King Charles prepared to confront his family with a revelation that would test loyalty, fracture unity, and challenge everything they believed to be unshakable. One by one, they arrived, summoned not by tradition, but by necessity. The absence of formality spoke volumes. Conversations were hushed, expressions guarded, and every movement carried an unspoken tension. This was no ordinary gathering of the crown. It was an emergency, a moment of reckoning that demanded absolute secrecy. Even those accustomed to the pressures of royal duty felt an unfamiliar unease settling over them, a sense that whatever awaited them would alter the course of their shared history. Security measures tightened around the palace with unprecedented intensity. Communications were restricted, staff movements monitored, and all access to sensitive areas strictly controlled. The usual rhythms of royal life gave way to a palpable stillness, as though the institution itself was holding its breath. Beyond the palace walls, the world remained unaware, yet within, the air was charged with anticipation and dread. At the center of it all stood King Charles, composed yet visibly burdened by the weight of the moment. His demeanor was solemn, his resolve unwavering. But beneath the calm exterior lay the turmoil of a monarch confronting a crisis unlike any before. The discovery Princess Anne had made could not be ignored, nor could it remain hidden indefinitely. As he prepared to speak, the gravity of his responsibility was unmistakable. This was not merely a family matter, it was a defining moment for the crown itself. When the truth was revealed, the reaction was immediate and profound. Silence fell first, heavy and unyielding as the implications settled into the minds of those present. Shock gave way to disbelief, and disbelief to a quiet, simmering tension. For some, the revelation stirred fear of scandal, of public scrutiny, of the fragile stability upon which the monarchy depended. For others, it ignited questions long suppressed, forcing them to confront truths they had never imagined facing. Conflicting perspectives quickly emerged. Some urged caution, insisting that the secret must remain concealed to protect the institution at all costs. Others argued that transparency, however painful, was the only path forward. Beneath these debates lingered deeper tensions, shaped by years of rivalry, loyalty, and unspoken grievances. Old divisions resurfaced subtly, revealing fractures that had long been hidden beneath the polished surface of royal unity. As the discussion intensified, one realization became impossible to ignore. The stability of the monarchy itself was at stake. The revelation threatened not only reputations, but the very narrative upon which the crown had been built. Each voice carried the weight of history, each argument echoing the uncertainty of a future, now clouded by doubt. In that moment, the royal family stood united in purpose, yet divided in conviction. Bound together by duty, but tested by truth. And yet, even as the emergency meeting unfolded, it became clear that this confrontation was only the beginning, because the truth Anne uncovered reached far deeper than anyone had imagined. As the truth unfolded, the room fell into stunned silence, the weight of revelation pressing down with an intensity that words could scarcely contain. What Princess Anne had uncovered was not a modern misstep or a fleeting indiscretion, it was a secret rooted deep within the monarchy's past, hidden beneath decades of ceremony, loyalty, and carefully guarded silence. This was a truth that had endured through generations, shielded by those who believed the stability of the crown depended upon its concealment. Now that silence had been shattered, and the consequences were impossible to ignore. The origins of the secret traced back to a pivotal moment in royal history, a time when the monarchy stood at a crossroads between survival and collapse. It was an era marked by uncertainty, when decisions were made behind closed doors by individuals who understood the immense power they wielded. Those entrusted with protecting the crown had chosen secrecy over transparency, convinced that revealing the truth would invite chaos and irreparable damage. Their actions, deliberate and calculated, had preserved the monarchy's image but at a cost that was only now becoming clear. Among those involved were figures whose names carried immense influence, individuals who had shaped the destiny of the royal institution while concealing the truth beneath layers of protocol and tradition. Their motives were complex, driven by loyalty, fear, and the unrelenting pressure to preserve the monarchy's legacy. To them, silence was not deception, it was protection. Yet in shielding the crown from immediate scandal, they had unknowingly created a legacy of secrecy that would one day resurface with devastating force. For decades, the monarchy maintained this silence with meticulous precision. Official records were altered, narratives carefully constructed, and inconvenient truths quietly erased from public memory. Generations passed, and the secret remained buried, protected by an unspoken understanding that the preservation of stability justified even the most extraordinary measures. The world saw only the grandeur, the continuity, and the unbroken strength of the crown, unaware of the fragile foundation upon which it rested. Now, confronted with the truth, senior members of the royal family found themselves grappling with emotions they could no longer suppress. Shock gave way to introspection, and introspection to a profound sense of reckoning. For some, the revelation stirred memories long buried, forcing them to confront decisions made by their predecessors and the consequences those decisions had left behind. The past was no longer distant history, it had become an undeniable presence, demanding acknowledgement and accountability. The parallels between this historical scandal and present-day tensions were impossible to ignore. The monarchy had weathered crises before, emerging each time with its image intact, yet the patterns of secrecy and preservation remained hauntingly familiar. Once again, the crown stood at a crossroads, its future uncertain, its legacy threatened by the very silence that had once protected it. The echoes of history reverberated through the room, a stark reminder that what was hidden could never remain concealed forever. At the center of it all stood King Charles, burdened not only by the responsibilities of his reign, but by the weight of the legacy he had inherited. The psychological toll was unmistakable. This was not merely a revelation about the past, it was a challenge to the very foundation of his authority. He bore the responsibility of confronting a truth shaped by those who came before him, a truth that could redefine both his reign and the monarchy's future. The burden was immense, pressing upon him with a relentless intensity that left no room for uncertainty. As the implications of the discovery continued to unfold, fear began to take hold. The realization that this revelation could destabilize the monarchy's credibility loomed heavily over every conversation, every decision, every moment of silence. Trust, once shaken, could prove impossible to restore. The institution that had endured for centuries now faced a test unlike any before, its survival hanging in delicate balance. And as the past collided with the present, King Charles found himself confronting an impossible choice, one that would define his reign and shape the destiny of the crown itself: protect the monarchy at all costs, or reveal the truth and risk everything. For King Charles, the discovery struck at the very heart of his reign. Torn between loyalty to his family and duty to the nation, he found himself standing at a crossroads no monarch should ever face. The truth, now undeniable, weighed heavily on his conscience. To reveal it would risk shattering public trust, unraveling centuries of carefully preserved tradition. Yet to conceal it would threaten to erode the monarchy from within, leaving a legacy defined not by strength, but by silence. As the emergency meeting intensified, the burden of history rested squarely upon his shoulders, pressing against him with relentless force. In the quiet moments between debate and decision, Charles's thoughts turned inward. The crown he now wore was more than a symbol of authority. It was an inheritance shaped by sacrifice, secrecy, and unwavering duty. He had spent a lifetime preparing for this role, yet nothing could have prepared him for a revelation of such magnitude. Transparency demanded courage, but preservation demanded restraint. Each path carried consequences, and neither offered certainty. The struggle was not merely political, it was profoundly personal, testing the very principles upon which his reign was built. The legacy of his late mother loomed large in his mind, her presence felt in every deliberation. Queen Elizabeth II had embodied resilience and discretion, guiding the monarchy through turbulent eras with quiet strength. Her unwavering commitment to stability had preserved the crown through crises that might have shattered lesser institutions. Now, Charles wrestled with the question that haunted him most. What would she have done? Would she have shielded the monarchy from scandal, or trusted the strength of truth to sustain it? Her memory became both a source of guidance and an unspoken pressure, reminding him that every decision would echo through history. Around him, voices clashed with urgency and conviction. Advisors urged caution, warning that disclosure could ignite political turmoil and constitutional upheaval. Senior members of the royal family offered differing perspectives, their opinions shaped by loyalty, fear, and the instinct to protect what they held sacred. Some believed silence remained the monarchy's greatest defense, while others insisted that honesty, however painful, was the only path to survival. Beneath their words lingered unspoken anxieties, the awareness that the institution they served stood perilously close to transformation. Amid these conflicting arguments, Charles confronted his own vulnerabilities. For all his composure, he was acutely aware of the fragile relationship between the monarchy and the public it served. Trust, once broken, could not easily be restored. The crown's authority rested not only on tradition, but on the belief that it represented integrity and continuity. To risk that trust was to gamble with the future of the institution itself. Yet he also understood that secrecy, if exposed, could provoke a deeper and more devastating reckoning. The possibility of political and constitutional fallout loomed ever closer. Governments, media, and citizens alike would demand answers, their scrutiny relentless and unforgiving. A revelation of this magnitude could reshape the monarchy's role in modern society, challenging its relevance and stability in ways previously unimaginable. Charles realized that this was more than a personal dilemma. It was a defining moment that could alter the course of history. As the weight of decision settled upon him, a profound realization emerged. His reign, still in its early chapters, might ultimately be defined by this moment alone. The choices he made now would determine not only his legacy, but the future of the monarchy itself. In the silence that followed the debates, he understood that there was no refuge from responsibility, no path free from consequence. But as the royal family continued to deliberate their next move, unaware of how quickly events were spiraling beyond their control, Whispers of the discovery began to seep beyond palace walls, carrying with them the first tremors of a storm that could no longer be contained. Despite the palace's relentless efforts to preserve secrecy, the truth refused to remain buried. What had begun as a tightly contained emergency within the walls of Buckingham Palace soon slipped beyond its guarded corridors, carried by whispers too powerful to suppress. Rumors ignited across Britain with startling speed, each fragment of speculation fueling a growing sense of intrigue and unease. Journalists sensed that something extraordinary was unfolding behind palace gates, a story of historic magnitude waiting to break. As questions multiplied and answers remained elusive, the world leaned closer, aware that the monarchy stood on the edge of a revelation unlike any before. The first signs of a crisis emerged subtly: an unusual flurry of royal activity, unexplained security measures, and sudden cancellations that disrupted the monarchy's carefully orchestrated routine. Observers noticed the shift immediately. Royal correspondents, long attuned to the rhythms of palace life, began to piece together the clues, sensing a disruption too significant to dismiss. Speculation spread swiftly, hinting at tensions within the royal household and a secret that had unsettled even the most seasoned figures within the institution. Media speculation intensified with every passing hour, transforming curiosity into a wave of public concern. Headlines hinted at turmoil behind closed doors, while commentators debated the potential implications with growing urgency. The absence of official statements only deepened the mystery, allowing rumors to flourish unchecked. For the public, the silence was deafening. Questions arose not only about the nature of the discovery, but about what it revealed regarding the monarchy's transparency and its relationship with the people it served. Within the palace, officials struggled to maintain control of the narrative. Carefully worded statements were drafted and redrafted, each one weighed against the risk of revealing too much or too little. Advisors urged restraint, aware that a single misstep could trigger a crisis far greater than the secret itself. Yet the tide of speculation proved relentless, pushing the monarchy into a defensive position that threatened to erode the aura of stability it had preserved for centuries. At the heart of the unfolding drama stood Princess Anne, the woman whose discovery had set these events into motion. Known for her unwavering composure, she now faced an emotional strain unlike any she had experienced before. The burden of knowledge weighed heavily upon her, intensified by the realization that the truth she had uncovered could no longer remain hidden. As fragments of the story began to surface, she found herself thrust unwillingly into the center of a global storm, her loyalty to the crown tested by the consequences of her actions. Beyond the palace walls, political pressure mounted with increasing intensity. Leaders and commentators demanded transparency, arguing that the monarchy owed the public clarity in the face of mounting uncertainty. The possibility of constitutional repercussions loomed large, threatening to draw the institution into debates that could reshape its role in modern society. Each passing day heightened the urgency, transforming speculation into a national conversation that could no longer be ignored. Across the globe, fascination with the unfolding royal drama reached unprecedented heights. Audiences watched with rapt attention, captivated by the tension and uncertainty surrounding one of the world's most enduring institutions. The monarchy's reputation now hung precariously in the balance, its future tied to decisions that would determine whether trust could be preserved or irrevocably broken. As anticipation surged and pressure mounted, the crown stood on the brink of transformation. With the world watching and speculation reaching fever pitch, the royal family prepared for a revelation that could change everything. The moment of truth had arrived. After days of mounting tension and relentless speculation, the palace could no longer remain silent. In a carefully orchestrated announcement, the secret Princess Anne had uncovered was finally brought into the light. Across the globe, millions waited in breathless anticipation, aware that history itself stood on the brink of transformation. What emerged was not merely a revelation, but a seismic shift of truth so profound it threatened to redefine the monarchy's legacy and alter the course of royal history forever. The unveiling was deliberate, measured, and unmistakably historic. Every word carried the weight of centuries, every sentence shaped to balance honesty with dignity. The discovery revealed a concealed chapter of royal history, one that challenged the narrative long accepted by the public. It spoke of decisions made in secrecy, alliances forged in silence, and sacrifices endured to preserve the crown's stability. The truth was not scandal alone, it was complexity, layered with duty, fear, and the relentless pursuit of continuity. As the revelation unfolded, it became clear that this was more than a royal controversy. It was a moment of reckoning for the institution itself. Within the royal family, the emotional impact was immediate and profound. King Charles, steadfast yet visibly burdened, stood at the center of a moment that would define his reign. His expression reflected both resolve and sorrow, a monarch confronting the consequences of a legacy shaped long before his time. Princess Anne, whose discovery had ignited this historic turning point, carried herself with quiet strength, though the emotional toll was undeniable. For her, the truth was both a burden and a responsibility, a testament to her unwavering commitment to duty despite the personal cost. Around them, senior members of the family faced the revelation with a mixture of reflection, acceptance, and the realization that the monarchy's future would never again be untouched by its past. The global response was immediate and electrifying. Media outlets across continents erupted with analysis and debate, while political leaders weighed in with statements that underscored the gravity of the moment. Public reactions ranged from shock and disbelief to admiration for the courage shown in confronting the truth. For many, the revelation represented a turning point, a moment when tradition met transparency, and history gave way to accountability. The monarchy, once perceived as untouchable, was now seen through a lens of humanity, its struggles and sacrifices laid bare before the world. Symbolically, the disclosure carried immense significance for Britain's future. It challenged long-held perceptions of the crown while reaffirming its resilience in the face of adversity. The revelation demonstrated that even the most enduring institutions must evolve, confronting their histories with honesty and courage. For King Charles, it marked a defining chapter in his reign, one that would shape both his legacy and the monarchy's path forward. As the truth became known, Princess Anne reflected quietly on the role she had played in bringing it to light. Her discovery, once an isolated moment within the palace's hidden corridors, had now become a catalyst for transformation. The burden she bore was immense, yet her resolve remained unwavering. In her actions, she embodied the principles of duty and integrity that had long defined the royal family, even as those principles were tested by the weight of revelation. In the days that followed, the monarchy moved swiftly to restore trust and maintain stability. Statements of accountability were issued, gestures of transparency extended, and efforts made to reaffirm the crown's commitment to the people it served. Yet beneath these measures lingered the undeniable truth that the institution had entered a new era, one shaped by revelation and reflection. The implications were profound, touching not only the monarchy's legitimacy but its very identity in a changing world. And yet, even as the truth emerged and the world absorbed its impact, it became clear that this revelation was not the end of the story. Its consequences would ripple far beyond the palace gates, reshaping perceptions, challenging traditions, and setting the stage for a future forever altered by the power of truth. In the wake of the revelation, the monarchy stood at a crossroads unlike any it had faced in modern memory. The truth, once hidden beneath layers of silence and tradition, now reverberated across the world with unstoppable force. Nations watched, historians debated, and citizens reflected on what the disclosure meant not only for the crown, but for the future of an institution that had endured for centuries. Trust, loyalty, and legacy, three pillars upon which the monarchy had long relied, were tested in ways never before imagined. The discovery that began in silence had reshaped the destiny of the crown, leaving one lingering question echoing through public consciousness: could the monarchy survive the truth? Public and political reactions emerged swiftly, shaping the path ahead with remarkable intensity. Voices of support praised the courage to confront history, while critics questioned the monarchy's credibility and relevance in a changing world. Debates filled parliamentary chambers and dominated global discourse, each perspective reflecting the gravity of what had been revealed. The monarchy, once seen as unshakable, now faced a future defined by accountability and expectation. Yet amid the scrutiny, there remained a profound sense of fascination and acknowledgement that the institution, though shaken, had chosen to face its past rather than conceal it. Within the royal family, efforts to rebuild unity unfolded quietly but deliberately. The revelation had exposed tensions and vulnerabilities, yet it had also ignited a renewed sense of purpose. Conversations once avoided were now confronted with honesty, as members of the family sought to reconcile tradition with transparency. King Charles, burdened by the enormity of the moment, emerged as a figure of resolve, determined to guide the monarchy through its most defining chapter. His reign, still unfolding, would forever be marked by the courage to confront inherited truths and navigate the consequences with dignity. Princess Anne's role in this transformation remained undeniable. Her discovery, born not of ambition but of duty, had become the catalyst for change. Though she had never sought the spotlight, her actions reshaped the monarchy's course and underscored the enduring power of integrity. In the eyes of many, she embodied the quiet strength that had long defined the royal legacy, a reminder that history is often shaped by those who act not for recognition, but for responsibility. As the monarchy adapted to its new reality, its relationship with transparency and accountability evolved in profound ways. The crown began to embrace a future defined not by secrecy, but by openness, acknowledging that trust could only be sustained through honesty. This shift marked a pivotal turning point, redefining the monarchy's role in a modern world where tradition alone could no longer guarantee loyalty. The institution's resilience, tested by revelation and scrutiny, revealed its capacity to endure even the most formidable challenges. Through reflection and renewal, the monarchy demonstrated a remarkable ability to withstand crisis. The crown had weathered wars, scandals, and revolutions, emerging each time with its identity intact. Now, confronted by a truth that could have fractured its foundation, it once again proved its capacity for transformation. The revelation had not destroyed the monarchy, it had redefined it, forging a future shaped by both its triumphs and its trials. And yet, the fascination with royal secrets remained as powerful as ever, a reminder that history is rarely as simple as it appears. The events set into motion by Princess Anne's discovery would be studied, debated, and remembered for generations, shaping the narrative of the British monarchy in ways no one could have predicted. As history moved forward, one truth remained undeniable: the night Princess Anne made her shocking discovery would forever redefine the destiny of the British monarchy.